we're back with another video. I hope that you guys are interested in this video as much as I am excited to do a video like this. I have never done something like this, but first of all, if you're new to my channel, welcome to another video. I hope that you do enjoy this video, and welcome to all the new subscribers that I've been having on my channel. Like I said, this is a new video for me. I was looking through videos trying to see if I can come up with a new idea, go across something, and I love reading books. So I seen a girl that she does, not only this girl, but I seen a few people that does like reading its prints, and they do this whole thing where they just do it like a live wise, or they just record themselves reading a book or something that they wanted to work on that month. So I went over to the search bar and I said, let me look for coloring sprint and see if anybody has done that, and I couldn't find nobody that has done anything like that. So I said I'm gonna give it a try and see how it works out for me. So technically what it is, gonna be, if you don't know what that is, this is the book that I'm currently working on this week, and this is a Chibi Girls Christmas, and I already did one page and I completed it. I am working on another one and I'm missing one more to do. So I'm gonna put myself in a timer for about 30 minutes, and I'm gonna see how much I can do in 30 minutes. So if you want to color, go ahead with me during this video. It's not gonna be speed or anything like that. It's gonna be maybe just putting a little bit of something in the background for you guys, and then just coloring, and basically we're coloring together. So I thought that would be a fun idea to work on. I'm not really sure. You guys let me know in the comments down below. But here, once again, this is Colored Caramel, and Chibi Girls at Christmas, and I'm gonna be showing you guys. This is the one I'm working on for this week. My tablet is next to me just because I want to go ahead and put my timer on there. And this is how far I have it gotten. I just started this pretty much on Saturday, and then I took like a small break from coloring, and then I just left the pages here, and I've been playing a lot of Disney Dreamlight. That's pretty much what I've been doing. And then I was like, you know what, let me get my pages done before I end up waiting in the last minute. Or not in the last minute, but last month I ended up waiting for like basically the last 2 weeks and a half of July before I started even actually coloring the rest of the books that I had to color. And that's why I ended up leaving some behind, because one, I didn't have a lot of markers, and two, it was what it was. I wasn't like, oh man, you know, I wasn't in the mood to color just because I didn't have enough to color. So now I ended up purchasing a small pack of markers. These are the, let me see if I can, this is the first time that I have tried these right here. It brings 120, and the thing that I like about these, they do bring like a little tray in the bottom for you guys, and that way I can just keep them sideways and then they don't fall off from the little tray or anything like that. But it is a small pack. I ended up getting it for like around 30 something, and I really needed like a set of markers. And so far, they're brush, which I really do enjoy on this side, and then they are the broad side as well on this side, which I really technically don't use anymore because I do enjoy the whole brush. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, my timer, I'm gonna set it up for 30 minutes. Here is my dandy tablet. So I'm gonna put this for 30 minutes, and then whenever it stops, then we can go ahead and I can go ahead and come back to you guys. So I hope that you guys do enjoy. I hope that you guys color with me. Let me know what you guys are coloring, what book, and comment down below, and let me know how you guys are doing with the first 30 minutes. All right, there goes our first 30 minutes. My alarm went off and I am on my second page. Technically, I'm just going to say that my first page was already halfway done. So that's why I ended up finishing, a little bit more. But it does take me about 30 minutes, I think, to finish just one page, depending how, these are not even detailed. And it did took me, I'll say that taking half of the other one and this one is pretty much halfway. It will take me 30 minutes just to complete one page. So that's not bad at all. You guys can go ahead and take a break. I'm doing like a 10-minute break right now just so I can talk to you guys and stuff. And let me know what you guys are coloring in the comments down below. Let me know how you guys feel about this video. I thought it would be a good idea because I love watching reading sprints with other people, especially they have to sound like depending on how they do the video too. Some people don't really technically talk at all since the beginning of the video until the end, and it does help me out sometimes when I put those videos because I'll end up grabbing a book and then I'll just read with them as well, even though that they're currently doing their video and stuff like that. I do enjoy them because it just pushes me to feel like I'm not really technically by myself and this person is doing a video and doing a actual live video where they are showing you guys read with me or whatever but that's pretty much technically what I'm going to be doing. I thought it was a good idea. I'm not sure. I'm thinking I'm going to do it every single week for you guys. I don't know. Let me know, please. Let me know in the comments down below what do you guys think. But I'm excited for it and I think I enjoy it. But yeah, this is the one that I'm working on. This one is the Gnome Ones from the color Caramel. This is one of the 3 books that I had picked in the beginning. The challenge that I'm doing is basically, I'm trying to like touch every single book that I own. And even though I do show in the beginning of the month a certain illustrator that I would love to work on, I still end up grabbing from other illustrators and just keep adding just so that I can go through all of my coloring books and not take forever to do it, because I do want to come up with another challenge as well, and that's pretty much what I'm focusing on. The only reason why I'm doing that because sometimes you can, I don't know, overwhelm yourself or get tired of doing the same thing every single month. I like to challenge myself. I like to include myself in other book projects as well. My videos that are coming up are my collection, but also it's going to explain to you guys which ones are my book projects and stuff like that. A lot of those book projects are open to the public, anybody that would love to join, and it does help you out because either they do I've seen some groups, they do like certain colors that you have to color the page, or a certain way that you have to do it, or certain, I guess, like in the 80s or the 90s, stuff like that, and or vintage type. And it does help you to create new pages and push yourself to do stuff that you have never done in technically since you started coloring. So that's why I join a lot of these groups, because it just helps me not get bored eventually. I do have more than one hobby. I had explained this before, but if you're new to my channel, I do color a good amount. I've been doing it for the past almost 5 years through YouTube. For this channel, I've been doing it for 3 years, and through Instagram, I believe about 4 years. I did start it off out of social media. I was looking for something to do. I decided to start working when I had my second child. And I was like, you know what? There has to be something I can do. And then I was looking and looking and looking. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm getting bored at home. And besides cleaning and all that stuff, like, what else can I do? Everybody was entertained. They had their PlayStations. They had their little games. My husband has his PC. And I would just sit there like, man, like, I love watching show, but to the point where I just get tired of it. And then I'm like, man, I don't know what else to watch. So I was like, I had to find something. So I started looking for hobbies to do. And the first thing that came out was the coloring, and I was like, I have to give it a try. I went to Barnes & Noble the same day. I bought myself 2 books, which are the, let me see if I can remember, because I don't have the book with me right now. They're somewhere in my pile. I think I say in one of my videos anyways, but I ended up getting 2 of them, and then I started coloring in those 2 books only. Bought myself a set of markers, and I went from there. Then my husband gave me some, and it was really fun. Like, and then it ended up to the point where I am currently right now. I do own almost 300 coloring books. That's including my Disney Color by Number, and a lot of them were gifted to me, and then a lot of them, you know, obviously I've been purchasing them over the months and for the past 5 years. So maybe for some people it's like 300, almost close to 300. That's a lot of coloring books. Technically in 5 years I think is a little bit of coloring books, because I had seen videos where people say they have, within 3 years they have up to 500, 600, 700 coloring books, and half of them, you know, and they haven't been able to get touched because they just go, you know, they're doing book projects and they're doing their own little projects, and by the time they actually get to other books, it takes time. I do have a good amount of books that I haven't touched so far, but what I'm planning on doing for my next challenge is working on books that I haven't touched. That's pretty much it. So I always try to change things around, and then when I see myself that I'm getting bored of a challenge and I haven't finished it, I just stop it. Like, I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna like stress myself over a hobby. I'm not going to put myself in a position where I feel forced to do this because I started a challenge and what are people are going to think. I really don't care. If I'm going to get tired of something, I'm going to switch it up for myself. Why? Because I enjoy coloring, like I said, for the very longest time. It just takes my mind off of stuff. It keeps me busy, and I technically do it during the week. I'll say 3 times during the week. And then by the weekend, I'm already either reading books. I switch up my hobbies as well. I end up reading books, and then I end up playing some games. Technically, I've been playing Disney Dreamlight. I've been doing like challenges on Sims, and then I also be playing like Coral Island. Simple games that are not going to stress me out or put me in a position where I have to be like, you know, doing a little bit more extra like my husband does. Like, I cannot be playing games like that, but I do play my simple, cozy type of games, and I enjoy doing that over the weekend, or I'm actually technically going out half the time to doing my errands around, washing the clothes, because I can't really technically wash the clothes where I'm at, either doing groceries, helping my mom out a lot. She doesn't drive. She is in her 60s, so I do like to help my mom out as much as I can. I do have 3 other brothers, but one of them live pretty far, and then the other one just finished moving not so long ago, almost an hour away. And then I got my other brother, but he does work and he comes out pretty late, so I'm technically the one that I help my mom as much as I can. And I also help out my dad, even though my dad doesn't live close by, but I do help my parents out so much. So yeah, I hope that you guys do comment down below. Let me know what is it that you guys are currently coloring. I hope that you guys are up for this challenge, and to help you guys out as well to color with me in the same time while you guys are watching my video. I have about 2 more minutes. So what else can I tell you guys? Yeah, so besides that, I do a lot of reading. I'm not sure if you guys want me to talk about the books that I'm currently reading, but I'm still going to do it for the past for the 2 minutes that I have left over, just because I like to share with you guys the stuff that I do in my hobbies. I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but I am currently reading Redeeming in 6, and I'm almost halfway. I believe I'm in page 297, and I stopped for a while because there was this conversation that's happening, and I'm like anxious to know what's gonna happen, and then it's just they keep going back and forth, and it's just gonna be like, if you're not gonna tell him or you're not gonna talk about it, like, just stop going back and forth. That's where I stand at with this book. But it's a really good book. I heard that what is the other one? I have purchased the last one. Let me see if I can find it. I have my bookshelves under my table here, so I do have a few books that I'm currently wanting to read right after. And I apologize for my nose because I am sick, and I've been sick for a while now. It just doesn't want to go away. So this is the newest one from Emily McIntyre, and it's the last one. I'm not sure if she's gonna come out with another one, but these are really good. These are based, like, right now I believe this is the mermaid, but not really technically the mermaid, if you guys know what I mean. And if I can't explain something right, just don't mind me. Here's Taming 7. I haven't read this one. I'm also currently reading this one. I love Mariana Zapata's Slow Burns. And then for the last one is Releasing 10. That's what it's called, Releasing 10. And I heard that it's pretty strong. So if you guys don't enjoy like very strong type of, I don't know, open books like that, I don't, based on everybody else's point of view, a lot of people were crying about it and stuff like that. It is based on the person's illustrators, the not the illustrator, the author's technically her life, something like that. But yeah, I'm interested in reading it. I love and I enjoy really deep trigger warning type of books, and I also enjoy suspenseful type of books, or like just slow burn, anything pretty much. I read a little bit of fantasy, I read a little bit of romance, I read a little bit of everything pretty much. The only thing that I'm not really into as much is fantasy. To it has to have like a romance type of, you know, situation on there, and then a little bit of action. That's pretty much how I read them. I don't know if it makes any sense, but here goes my timer, and I'm gonna go ahead and do another 30 minutes, and I hope once again you guys enjoy this, or just finish watching the video and watch me finish this page. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so there goes my timer, and I am gonna stop here doing this video. I did an hour with you guys coloring, and I hope that you guys did enjoy this video as much as I had enjoyed creating this video for you guys. I'll be finishing this page off camera, obviously, and hopefully for next week we'll be picking different books depending where I stand at during the week, because I do color during the week a good amount. So we'll see what happens from there. Like I said, I hope to see you guys on my next video. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know, you know, just give me some feedback. And without further ado, I see you guys on my next video.